Good morning. You're watching DeProgram with Ted Rall and John Kiriakou. It's Monday, November 24th, 2025. Thanks for joining us. Good morning, John.
Good morning, Ted. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. So Marjorie Taylor Greene may or may not be looking for a new job, but she's certainly out of her old one, partially of her own accord, mostly of her own accord. Mm-hmm. Even just as we went on the air a minute or two ago, Zelensky announced that the Ukrainian team is returning from Geneva, where apparently there's been some progress made toward Trump's 28-point deal that would, I hate to say peace plan because that just doesn't seem right. Deal, let's just say, to end the Russo-Ukrainian conflict. DOGE, nobody really noticed, but it died not with a bang, but a whimper. It is no more. We can talk about that. Before we, John, if you don't mind, some news just happened 5 minutes ago that just broke across the Washington Post. Jimmy Cliff, great reggae star, has just died. And he's, so I wanted to have some quick sound recommendations. If you know nothing else, check out the soundtrack to The Harder They Come. Amazing. Even if you don't like reggae, you'll like this, as the guy says in Alex Cox's Repo Man. Struggling Man, also just can't, like an amazing, basically a heartbroken guy loses his best friend. Jimmy Cliff lost his best friend, and he basically was in mourning, and he basically poured it all into the music. And the self-titled debut, not to be missed, also not to be missed, is Wonderful World, Wonderful People, Beautiful People. So amazing performer.
Did you happen to see last night, too, this was a push notification from the New York Times, that H. Rap Brown died?
Oh, no way.
Yeah. H. Rap Brown died at the federal penitentiary, the prison hospital at Butner, North Carolina. Tell you the truth, I didn't realize he was still alive.
I didn't either.
He was a major voice in the Black liberation movement in the 60s and into the 70s. He converted to Islam, adopted a Muslim name, and then opened a bodega in Atlanta, married a woman who was a civil rights attorney, and then everybody just kind of forgot about him. But the FBI was obsessed with this guy to the point where they tried to pin 16 different murders on him, including the 1993 attack on the World Trade Center. This is how ridiculous the FBI is.
They're insane.
Nothing ever came of it. And then in 2000, two deputy sheriffs from Atlanta were walking up to his bodega to serve a subpoena. And they said, Mr. Brown. And he said, yeah. And then he pulled a rifle off of his shoulder and shot both of them. He killed one. Jesus. The other one lived and testified against him. And he got life without parole in the federal system. The cops said that they were able to catch him by following a trail of blood because the cop got a couple of shots off before he was killed. The problem is when they caught Brown a couple of hours later, he had no wounds. There was no blood. And so there was never any real evidence that he was the guy that shot these cops.
Did Rap Brown ever claim that he was innocent? What was his?
He always claimed he was innocent. And the jury voted 7-2 against the death penalty just in case they got it wrong.
Wow.
But his appeals never went anywhere. And then he died of multiple myeloma yesterday in the prison hospital at Butner, North Carolina, in the maximum security part of.
It's very creepy. Literally, a couple days ago, I was rearranging my books, and my H. Rap Brown die, N-word die, but it doesn't say N-word. I was like, where do I put that? It's such a great book, but I don't want people to get the wrong idea when they see it on the shelf because they don't know who H. Rap Brown was.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? People don't know. In fact, when I saw it, I was with a good friend of mine. I said, oh my gosh, H. Rap Brown died. I didn't even realize he was still around. He said, who's that? I said, dude, you're older than I am. H. Rap Brown.
Yeah, it's like Eldridge Cleaver. It's like that ilk.
Yes, exactly. He said, I never heard of him.
Blake, thanks for becoming a monthly supporter. Much appreciated. Okay, Gavin Breen, 49. Quick question: have either of us ever visited Ireland? Me? No, I have not.
Oh, I've been many times. I was there as recently as February.
Oh,
Yeah, I like it very, very much.
I would love to.
Very much. On top of being green and beautiful and historic and, plenty of things to do, and that's where Guinness is made and their whiskey is delicious. On top of all that, the Irish are just beautiful people. And so I always feel so welcomed there. It's really a great place. In fact, when I was there in February, I was there to give a series of speeches, and my sister flew out with her husband and 2 kids, and they stayed a week, and they loved it as much as I do. Great place.
Cool. All right. So what shall we discuss first?
Yeah, let's talk about Marjorie Taylor Greene. This is something you and I chatted about on Friday night when the news broke. I couldn't believe what I was reading on my phone. And all I can think of is that I want to grab her by the shoulders and shout, "Coward!" Like, what is she thinking? At the first sign of trouble, she just runs away. And I mentioned to my son, she doesn't even qualify for the pension. You've got to do 3 terms to qualify for the pension on Capitol Hill. And she's done 2.5.
John, let's hold that thought, because I'm going to disagree with you a bit, but here we go. We have an ad to do. You've probably noticed Rumble is growing fast and it's not slowing down. They're building a real alternative to big tech that puts creators first and actually protects free speech. And now there's Rumble Premium, an easy way to upgrade your experience. With Premium, you get ad-free viewing across the platform, no pre-rolls, no interruptions, just the content you came for. Plus, Premium members unlock exclusive content like bonus videos, behind-the-scenes drops, and more from your favorite creators. Right now, Rumble is offering $10 off an annual subscription. Just go to rumble.com/premium and use the promo code STUDIO at checkout. That's rumble.com/premium. Promo code STUDIO. No ads, more freedom, and content you actually care about. That's the deal. So you don't think she should have. You think she should have stayed and fought the good fight.
I do. I think she should have stayed. You don't see Thomas Massey running for the hills to protect himself. It leads me to believe, too. I went to the trouble of reading her long screed that she posted on social media.
So did I.
And it leads me to believe that we're probably going to see her run for governor of Georgia at some point. Running for the Senate wouldn't make any sense, because it would put her right back in Washington with the people that she hates and fears. And, she still wouldn't be able to get anything done. So my guess is she's probably going to prepare for a gubernatorial run. But I don't know. Just when she starts to take some sane positions on important issues, she just quits, walks away. But you disagree.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess my point is I can see her point. First of all, Thomas Massey, wasn't called a traitor by the president of the United States. I mean, for Greene, this had to, really cut to her bone. She considers it's so important for her to be considered. She considers herself such a patriot and all that. And she feels like, I thought the key phrase was she said, loyalty is a two-way street. She has been very loyal to the president.
Very.
And it hasn't been returned over, what should have been a relatively minor disagreement over the Epstein files.
Absolutely.
And so she, he basically did what he always does, which is, if you don't agree with me completely, I come in hot, all guns firing. It's his thing. You can sort of see, we should probably talk a little bit about Friday's meeting between him and Mamdani. And he said this, during that meeting with Mamdani. He said, well, during a campaign, you just say things. I don't think it's right, but it's what he and a lot of other politicians do. And then they make nice afterwards. When I was working on my biography, my graphic novel biography of Trump, I came across this story about this battle he had with this tenants association of a building called Barbizon Plaza in Central Park South that he took over. He took over the building. There were rent-controlled tenants that he wanted to get out so he could flip them and convert them over to condominiums. And he was like, these people are paying $300 a month and they have views of Central Park. We should get them the hell out. And so anyway, it was an ugly, tortured, years-long legal battle through the courts. And ultimately, the Tenants Association prevailed. And the people who stuck through and didn't leave, they got to stay for $300 a month with their beautiful views of Central Park. And the head of the Tenants Association ran into Donald Trump in the lobby of the building at one point. And she was shocked because he came up and shook her hand, was very friendly and cordial, and said, "Hey, how's it going? Good to see you." And she was like, "We just had blood sport here. And like, this was so important to us." But to him, very clearly, it's just business. He never got emotional about it. He never took it seriously, even though it sounded emotional, even though it sounded serious. And so I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but obviously it had a toxic effect on MTG.
I have heard that story from so many people, not specific to the homeowners or to the Tenants Association, but to any conflict with Donald Trump, where it's all an act.
Yeah.
It's nothing personal.
His blood pressure doesn't go up. His heartbeat doesn't go up.
Strictly business. I told you I had the occasion to meet him at Mar-a-Lago for 20, 30 seconds in January of this year. He could not have been any more cordial, any lovelier. And everybody that I know who knows him says that this, the hate comments, calling the reporter Miss Piggy, insulting people, it's all an act.
Yeah. Apparently he's a nice man. If you're, get on it, you're in his family or whatever. I mean, yeah, it's an act. I mean, I suspect he got that from his father, Fred.
Absolutely.
This is what we do. It's how you do things.
Fred was so legendary in his hating on people that Woody Guthrie wrote a song about him.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Old Fred Trump.
Oh my God, that's awesome. Yeah. Who knew? I didn't know. Yeah, that's amazing. And of course, Fred was literally a showboater. He literally had showboats to promote his cheap apartments in Brooklyn and Queens, like off the beach of Coney Island.
But only for whites.
Right, whites only, of course. Yeah. So it's a yeah. So okay. So the thing is, let's get into the politics of what happens next.
One last point, if you don't mind. One last point. I've been corrected in the chat, and I want to acknowledge this. Medic 6919, you are absolutely right. Her resignation is effective January, which is the day after she took the oath. You need 5 years, 2.5 terms for the pension. So she resigns the day she qualifies for the pension.
Okay, so she's not a dummy.
No, she's not. She's not stupid. Okay, sorry.
Okay, so yeah, so she's resigned. I guess the question now becomes who fills her spot? Does the governor fill her spot?
No. What the governor does, nobody fills the spot. The governor has to declare the seat vacant, and they call a special election.
Gotcha. So it's not like the Senate.
Right, not like the Senate, no. So in the meantime, the people who work for her now will continue to work for the House of Representatives, and they'll answer constituent mail. They'll respond to issues that come up. Somebody didn't get their Social Security check, or somebody's kid wants to be nominated to go to Annapolis or whatever. So the office will be on autopilot, just running itself. And then they'll have a special election
for a few months.
Yeah. I would venture a guess that the special election would be held probably in the late summer or early fall. And then they'll get it back on cycle in November.
And obviously it's a safe Republican seat.
Safe. She got 77% last year against a Democrat who had national funding. So this is a ruby red district. So
there's no danger. There's no need for the Republicans in the House to worry about the balance of the House in this case. But it does obviously symbolize a fracture within the GOP and within the MAGA coalition.
Oh, I think it does. And there really is a fight over what MAGA means. Does MAGA mean what Donald Trump originally said it meant? Or does MAGA mean whatever Donald Trump says it means today. It's a big difference.
Producer Robbie has a question. Why not stay and obstruct what Trump is doing? Isn't resigning simply a surrender to the establishment?
Yeah, I think it is. Like I said, Thomas Massey gets threats all the time. And he still stands up and says what he wants to say and votes the way he wants to vote and writes discharge petitions and takes on the leadership of his own party.
It's I mean, so I guess, I mean, again, I still think Republican voters, MAGA coalition, they are running against themselves, right? They're not running against Democrats. They're running against apathy. I mean, is there sort of a sense that, whatever Donald Trump intended to do in terms of, affordability and, making America great again in this vague sense, he got off to a strong start in terms of popularity with the immigration stuff.
Yeah.
But that quickly went bad with the tactics of ICE, right? With
the tactics of ICE, and as we saw this weekend in North Carolina, well, yeah, we want you to grab all the illegals, but not our illegals that work at the country club.
Right.
And that's what's happening.
And also, we don't want illegal immigrants. We don't want new workers from outside to be imported to take American jobs, unless it's 600 of them at Mar-a-Lago and other places.
That's right.
It's bad. Thanks to Bastion575, who gifted 5 subscriptions to our show. Much appreciated. So, New Dark Energy, does the loss of the seat mean anything to Republicans getting bills passed? Well, they're a seat short, right? I mean, until this gets filled. Yeah, and it is a very narrow margin in the House.
There's another seat, and I can't remember where it is. Texas, maybe, that's a safe Republican seat. So they're down 2. They still have a margin of 2, I think it is. And there are no impending or pending important votes coming up. The Senate now wants to take up, as an up or down vote, they want to take up healthcare. There's no indication that the House is ready to do something like that. This is the least proactive House since the Second World War.
They're not doing. Yeah, they're literally like Harry Truman's do nothing Congress, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, I thought, to me, I don't know how other people feel about this, or if this is just like a wonk look at it, but to me, the real takeaway from the MTG resignation is her statement, like, basically, you can get nothing done there, and there's no way to change anything, and they don't care about the American people. And I believe her 100%. And I just wonder, to the extent that people pay attention to this, is this just like one more chip in the wall of the American democratic system, where we're supposed to believe that this representative system works? And she's reporting back to us, like, basically, I've been to the mountaintop, and, the big guy doesn't care. That's a
kind
problem.
of what it looks like. Yeah, I agree. That's really what it looks like.
So, okay. Robbie says Trump has blown up his entire coalition.
Hey, may I ask a favor? And I apologize to our viewers. I'm at my brother's house in Los Angeles. It's 6:21 a.m. No big deal. But there's an alarm going off upstairs. I'm the only person who's awake.
Oh my God.
Can Robbie come on just for a minute so I can run and see what this alarm is?
Yeah, don't burn up. Okay, all right, we'll see. There's been fires in LA. Okay, all right.
I'll be right back.
Here, Robbie.
Howdy.
Hey, Robbie, you will be playing the role of John Kiriakou. I'm going to leave his empty wall there while he goes to see what's burning. So, okay, you were saying about MTG.
Yeah, well, I mean, it just goes to show that Trump has blown up his entire base. I supported Trump back in 2016 because the way that he was talking, he was the only person in either political party actually addressing the concerns of normal working class Americans. That he was the only one. He's talking about making insurance affordable, making it where you get insurance across state lines, asking why are we in NATO? What won me to Trump was in that Valentine's debate against Jeb Bush when he destroyed him. When Trump destroyed Jeb over the Iraq War, he said, your brother he screwed up. It was a doozy. And I mean, that for me, he said the quiet part out loud. Like, the establishment does not care. And he promised to drain the swamp and do all these things. Actually put the needs of the American people first for once. The first president, the first guy I ran for president in my entire life. And it was some orange talk show host. It's like, great. So I'm going to vote for this guy. What do I have to lose? And then Trump has become exactly what he was running against. And to John's point, Thomas Massey is the one who's forced release of the Epstein files. We're still waiting for it. We'll see what happens, but he's the only one. Marjorie Greene, she's like, yeah, I'm right there with you. Let's do this. And Trump won because he was able to attract a record number of Black and Latino and working class voters, people who never voted before. Like, he did the same thing Mondani did. And Trump, he won re-election overwhelmingly with the support of just normal people. And he gets to the presidency, he's just like, to hell with all of you. I don't care about you. I want nothing from you. I mean, the beat just goes on.
Guys, what do you? I think it's important to bring up Sneaker Dad's comment here. MTG was forced out by AIPAC, he believes. She was probably given a credible threat. Well, she did say she got plenty of death threats. Yeah. Where those death threats come from, who knows? But she's not saying. I do worry. That's a high level of political toxicity. If we are a country where people resign from Congress because they fear for their life or the safety of their family, we don't live in the U.S. We live in Pakistan.
That's right.
Oh, you live in Rome. I mean, look, how about the Gracchus brothers? I mean, there's a reason why the Roman Republic fell, and I think that's where we're going right now. The thing that I'm concerned about as a right winger is when people decide that the political process doesn't matter, that the institutions are useless. When people come to that conclusion and start opting out and stop voting and stop participating, I think that's when things get real, and that's my concern. And if I had the support, I'd run against Ryan Zinke here in Montana, because the guy's just a complete wholly owned subsidiary of AIPAC.
All you need is about $5 million, and then you're all set.
Yeah, that's it. That's all you need. It's the best government that money can buy. And it's cheap. It's cheap as far as I'm concerned. I mean,
it is cheap. My ex-wife used to say that about congressmen whenever they'd be caught, like, he took $7,000.
Yeah,
and she'd be like, you sold out the American people for $7,000. She's like, I might sell them out for $7 million.
Yeah, $7 million. I'll tell you a funny story. We used to. At the CIA, let me start again. At the CIA, anytime somebody gets arrested, they send an all hands email saying, we've just had an employee arrested for misusing the CIA credit card, and let this be a lesson to everybody. You get these once or twice a year. Somebody's getting arrested. And we always used to say, if you're going to steal from the CIA, why would you steal $50?
Yeah, you're an idiot.
Oh, what are you, nuts? Steal millions of bucks. And then when we were, another officer and I, we took a van from the embassy motor pool in Islamabad, and we started driving to Faisalabad to go capture Abu Zubaydah. And we had $2 million in two big duffel bags. And he said to me, you know how we always say that if you're going to steal, you should steal millions?
Here we go.
And I looked at him, and we both started laughing. And I said,
that would be the time.
Yeah, but I don't want to retire in Pakistan.
No, that would be bad.
Yeah,
not to mention, they probably have a extradition treaty with the U.S. You would know.
Do.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Thanks, Robbie, for that. Okay, so John, are you safe and sound? Nothing burning?
Yeah, it's my nephew's alarm. It's been going off for 20 minutes now, and he still can't hear it.
Oh God. Okay. All right. Oh, it's his alarm clock.
Yes.
Oh my God. So yeah, your nephew is like my son. Okay. So God, it's like literally he can sleep through like an hour of alarm. I'm like, I used to be crazy. I could sleep standing up for real, like a horse. but I can't, there's no way. I mean, when I was at 18, there was a fire alarm. I guess this belies my story, but there was a fire alarm and the whole building was evacuated. I woke up in the quad covered with dew the next day because my roommates had carried me down and they couldn't carry me back up the stairs.
Oh my God.
So, all right. So, I mean, MTG, will there be more? And what happens to her? She runs for governor. I agree with that. That's almost certainly true. I don't think.
And the rules have changed that if you have money now left over in your campaign account, you can't put it in your pocket. And it's because people were raising millions and millions of dollars and then announcing that they weren't running for re-election. And the money used to convert just to personal money. And so now you can't keep it. Now you have to donate it to your party's campaign committee or donate it to individual campaigns. So she's going to have to do something.
Right. So she will. Triple J XYZ, I think we answered this question last week, if I'm not mistaken. John, you'll correct me if I'm wrong. Did you see Candace Owens making claims that Macron hired a hit squad on her? Has she completely lost her mind, or is there anything there?
I think she's losing it.
She's losing her mind. First of all, the French are good. And if Emmanuel Macron decided that she needed to not be breathing anymore, she wouldn't be breathing anymore.
Listen, if there's one thing that the French are good at, it's killing people. We always used to say to the agency, beware the French. They'll smile and offer you a glass of wine, and then they'll blow your brains out, and you will have never seen it coming.
Kevin Cronin, 7020. Thanks, Robbie, for admitting that Trump is a total fraud. The big, beautiful bill is a fraud, and MTG sold us that fraud. Fair. We should talk about Ukraine, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have this 28-point plan that basically pretty much looks like what we all thought
exactly
it was going to look like 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago. So basically, Zelensky's representatives are returning from Geneva. By all accounts, according to Secretary of State Marco Rubio and President Trump himself, there was a lot of progress made. This is a funny situation, right? Because normally a peace agreement between Russia and Ukraine would be negotiated between Russia and Ukraine, and there might be an intermediary, right?
Yes.
In this case, first it was floated to Russia, and Russia said, well, why don't you get the Ukrainians to sign off on it right now we don't have anything to talk about. So the U.S. really was negotiating with Ukraine with no intermediaries except, and then the Europeans are kind of like the buddies of Ukraine negotiating against the U.S.
Yes.
It seems like the U.S. has prevailed in this negotiation, and that Zelensky we had heard that there was a Thursday deadline. I don't know why he wanted to announce this on Thanksgiving Day when nobody would be paying attention. We'd all be eating turkey. But now it's like, by all accounts, according to Rubio, the deadline's not that important. It could be next week or it could be whenever. But basically, Zelensky went to the Ukrainian people and said, basically, in so many words, there's going to be some hard decisions to make. We know we risk losing U.S. support. So it looks like the trade-off, correct me if I'm wrong, John, is Trump is telling Zelensky, give up all the land that you've lost already and demilitarize by roughly half, never join NATO, but we will give you a full security guarantee in exchange for that. In other words,
exactly what you and I talked about 6 months ago.
True. And so now it looks like Zelensky is, swallowing hard and getting ready to tell the Ukrainian people that they're going to have to take their medicine. Right? That's basically. So
Trump was kind of rude about it. He said publicly that Zelensky's got to take it or leave it. And if he's not going to take it, then he needs to get the hell out and make room for somebody who will take it.
He said, I think the quote was, if he doesn't like it, he can keep fighting his little heart out.
That's right.
Yeah, it's like how Russians, how Southerners, I don't know why I said Russians, why Southerners, they say, oh, bless your heart, to treat you like you're an idiot.
Yes.
Like your little heart. It's clearly, it was a very, I don't know. I don't think Trump's wrong. I mean, I think those are the facts on the ground. I
I
mean,
got to say, I'm with Trump on this.
it's realpolitik. The war has ground on long enough. And we could all argue about, like, sovereignty in the nation state system and Metternich and how this invasion never should have happened and so on. But at this point, it is what it is. And, I also, and the thing that makes me more sanguine about it is that the populations that are being transferred to Russia are populations that belong more with Russia than they do with Ukraine anyway. So it's kind of like a solution to a problem, to an ethnographic problem that's now kind of solved.
Yes.
Even though an ugly solution. So,
Right.
Okay. So does Zelensky agree to this?
I wouldn't be surprised if Zelensky resigns and walks away, and that his
goes and hangs out with MTG.
Well, I told you the other day, I read in one of the Greek papers that Zelensky actually bought a house in Greece. I just assumed that he would eventually leave and go to London or Dubai, where everybody else goes.
Yeah, that's a comment from Three Birds, One Stone. Zelensky is getting his luggage ready to be the latest British asylum seeker.
I think that's probably going to be what happens. He's always going to be in danger. If he stays in Ukraine, he's always going to be in danger of assassination, whether it's at the hands of the Russians or the hands of other Ukrainians. And so I think that he probably wants to get out.
Yeah, if I were him, I'd be more worried about the Ukrainians.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, if the Russians wanted him dead, he'd already be dead.
Exactly. He would already be dead.
I think the Russians liked having him as their adversary. He wasn't very popular before the war. He doesn't cast he's not the most sympathetic figure, even though the West has tried to make him one. So
exactly right.
So Zelensky swallows hard. He resigns. He goes and takes his ill-gotten gains and off to the UK or Lake Como or both. And then, so the next step is then Trump has to get on the phone with Putin. Now, the danger, and you're muted right now, John. The question is, does Putin now view this as a place to negotiate from, or is he able to basically have Trump call him, say, this is the deal, take it or leave it? Is Putin the kind of man who would ever just take any deal that's offered to him? Because it's sort of like the normal Russian mentality is, we're going to negotiate.
If Putin's previous behavior is any indication, and I think it is, he's going to want to negotiate the terms of this deal, not just to accept what Trump has offered him. I had
for domestic consumption, he's got to be able to show he got something.
He's got his own pressure points, which we frequently ignore, by the way.
Yeah.
I had dinner a couple of nights ago with Dr. Peter Kuznick and 4 other professors from American University and Columbia, 2 from Columbia University, all experts on Russia. And they all said the same thing. The Russians are winning the war. The war is just about over. And so if we want Putin to take this deal, we're going to have to offer him something else. Now, the easy thing to offer is a lifting of sanctions.
Yes.
That's the easiest thing. We know that he wants that. And so
and there's not going to be, I mean, seriously, I can't imagine, aside from one editorial in the Washington Post, I don't think anyone's going to care here. Like, oh my God, you lifted you lifted sanctions against Russia. What a terrible thing. There's not going to be any blowback there. No one cares.
No, nobody cares. We don't trade with Russia anyway. And the Russians have been able to circumvent sanctions from the very beginning.
Yeah, they saw this coming years ago.
Well, sure, they can't sell gas to Germany anymore. Big deal. They sell all of it to India now.
Yep.
Or China.
Mm-hmm.
So no, it'll mean nothing to us. It'll mean nothing to the U.S. economy. The Treasury Department's not going to have a problem with it. Just lift the sanctions. Let's move on.
Agreed with that. Do we think Bart of the Broken asks on YouTube, and by the way, please like, follow, and share the show. And thank you for your, the donations on Super Chats are still open. Do you think the whole corruption case against Zelensky is Trump's way of forcing Zelensky's hand? The corruption case is absolutely true, but the timing is perfect. Well, it's
Yeah.
useful. I don't know. I don't think it's a conspiracy. What do you think, John? I think it's just it's a happy coincidence.
Yeah, I think it's a coincidence. I don't think it's a conspiracy. But like I always say, I'm the least conspiratorial person I know. So I don't know.
And me both.
Usually people are idiots just by human nature.
And Ukrainians are corrupt. So that's like part of their, that's inevitable.
I told you once when I was at the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, I was supposed to make a trip to Ukraine. So I called this hotel that the embassy recommended. I had a question about the hotel. So they answered in Ukrainian, and I said, "Hi, I'm calling from the United States. Do you speak English?" And the receptionist at the hotel says to me in English, "You want to speak English? Go to England," and hung up on me. And I was like, "Yep, that's Ukraine. That's Ukraine right there in a nutshell."
That's awesome. Thanks, Accident, for the 50 Swedish kroner. The same guarantees as the Budapest Memorandum. We all know how that went. John, you're muted.
I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, well, supposedly it's supposed to be a clone of Article 5 guarantees. It's exactly what, but it's not. I guess what I'm unclear about is whether the security guarantee would be from the Europeans and the U.S. or just from the U.S. I think it's just from the U.S. at this stage.
I think it would just be from the U.S. We talked about this many months ago, where the likelihood was that we would announce that Ukraine has what's called major non-NATO status. So it would be the same status as Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Kuwait, Australia, Japan, South Korea, where none of them are in NATO, but they get the same protection from the United States and NATO that they would if they were members. So it's a way of just getting around this, Ukraine can't be a NATO thing.
By the way, Accident also asked, and I missed this earlier, and thanks for the 20 kroner. Have either of us ever been to Malta? I have not.
No, my good friend Brad Birkenfeld has a house in Malta. I just saw him last weekend, and he keeps inviting me there to Valletta. I haven't had the chance to go.
It's meant to be great.
I'd love to go. Yeah.
Kevin Cronin, 7020. Where are the Europeans in the proposed Ukraine deal? Well, they don't like it, but they don't really get a vote, do they?
No, they're the ones that want to fight to the last Ukrainian.
Yeah,
but they don't get a vote in Donald Trump's America.
No, they don't, and I don't really have a problem with that. Costa is asking you, John, that I was very happy to see you on the Dalton Fisher podcast, and you tell the best stories. I was wondering if you would be on the show again.
Oh yeah, I like Dalton. One of the things about Dalton, I'm proud to say I was the first interview that Dalton ever did, and he only does about one every 5 or 6 weeks, but he does literally everything that is involved with the production of the end product. He does the graphics, he does the music, he does the computer, work. He does literally everything. And so it takes a whole month after he does an interview to put it all together, to chop it up into shorts and get it out on the internet. I think he does a terrific job, and he's already got 300,000 subscribers just after 6, 7, 8 interviews. So I look forward to doing it again.
Kapunked 589 on YouTube. Isn't conquering territory during a war against the Geneva Convention? I don't know.
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either. I mean, otherwise, what would be the point of war?
Yeah.
I think it's obviously against international law.
Yeah, that's different. Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So, yeah. Okay. We have a little message we have to put. Let's hear. Robbie's going to remind everyone why they need to migrate over to Rumble. For those of you who are new to the show, or those of you who are pig-headed and stubborn and old to the show, here's Robbie.
Hi, I'm back. So. Just a quick little blurb. I am working with John and Ted trying to figure out the logistics, be able to set up a call-in show where people be able to call in and actually be on the air with them, be able to ask questions in real time, live and in color. So working on that, more to come. And along that vein, if you are on Rumble, if you are a channel subscriber, on Rumble for $5 a month. Or if you subscribe to Rumble Premium, I have got more Rumble Premium content coming out for the show exclusively on Rumble. If you want to see that, exclusive content, come over to Rumble. The reason why we do it that way is 2 reasons. One, YouTube censors free speech. Everyone knows that, and that still happens. Number 2, Rumble pays them significantly more than YouTube does, and they've got bills to pay. So that's why we do this here on Rumble. So come on over. I know a lot of people on the left really just have this misconception that's a right-wing echo chamber. I promise you it's not. When YouTube was censoring them, when they demonetized the show a couple of months ago, Rumble did not throttle them, and Rumble kept paying them. So come on over. The water's fine, and you might make some new friends.
Thanks, Robbie. Okay, so there's the story I wanted to talk to you about. We didn't have it in the rundown, but oh well. So John, as you know, the new Prime Minister Sanae Takaishi of Japan is a right winger, and definitely like as much of a militarist as we've seen since World War II running Japan. She's just ordered the defense ministry there to put missiles on a small island called Yonaguni, which is kind of not far from Taiwan. And the Chinese are very upset about it. The Chinese say that, this is right-wing forces in Japan are leading Japan and the region toward disaster. Beijing is determined and capable of safeguarding its national territorial sovereignty. And of course, they consider Taiwan legally to be part of China. This is saber rattling, right? I
think it is. Japan has always had this tendency to move to the extreme right. Mm-hmm. That's how we got the Second World War. That's how the world got, the rape of Nanking and et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, I think that even if this was meant to be symbolic, it's potentially dangerous. What's going to end up happening is the Chinese are going to complain, and they're going to be ignored, and then they'll move on to the next issue. I think far fewer people would be worried if these missiles were somehow closer to North Korea than to China, but that's just not going to happen.
Yeah. And obviously the Chinese are just not going to attack. They're just going to grumble, like you said. They always do, in such florid language, too. Not as florid as the DPRK. That's the best. Their rhetoric is so awesome.
It's like everybody in the DPRK is Baghdad Bob.
It's like, you will burn in the searing fires of hell, as you richly deserve, as capitalist monsters. 3 birds, 1 stone. Does it hold any weight if we write the pardon attorney who is vying for John? If so, please send us their information. I missed it the last time you guys were talking about it.
Oh, thank you. There's a web address. You know what? I'll Google it and I'll find it. Thank you for that.
Okay. So is that a yes, sort of? Okay. So while you are doing that, I'll tee up the our last official topic of the day, right? So last and I guess least, DOGE is no more. So DOGE was supposed to go on for another 8 months, and it just sort of apparently someone from a newspaper called up the White House and it's like, oh, so what's going on with DOGE? And he was just told, oh, that doesn't exist anymore. That's gone. So what is the legacy, if any, of Elon Musk's, government efficiency and budget cutting? Is it just basically that a lot of federal workers lost their jobs and a lot of agencies got quickly gutted and most of them will end up getting their jobs back because they're under contract? Is it basically just chaos?
And every American had his personal data stolen when they downloaded all of the Social Security Administration's internal records. But yeah, I think you've hit it on the head. First of all, DOGE was never a real thing. It didn't really exist, even though we talked about it all the time. It didn't exist because it was never created by an act of Congress. And to be anything in the federal government, it has to be created by an act of Congress. This wasn't. It was made up of a half a dozen kids in their 20s who were friends of Elon Musk's or who had worked for Elon Musk at some point at, Starlink or Tesla or wherever. And then they came and then they went. So now it's been officially disbanded. We have no idea what's happened to our personal data, but I think you're right. I think all those workers are going to get their jobs back because we have the Civil Service Act in this country. You can't fire people without due process. You can't.
And that's one of the main reasons people become federal government workers, isn't it?
Yes.
Job security.
Yeah, job security. I remember saying once that I never paid attention to economic news when I was at the CIA because recessions never impacted me in any way. I had job security. I never had to worry about a recession and rises in unemployment. So I never paid attention. Well, you can't just come in and fire everybody. You can't just come in and say, I'm doing away with the Department of Education. You don't have the federal authority to do away with the Department of Education. Congress does, but that's why DOGE never caught on.
I mean, in the long run, are we going to basically learn that DOGE cost the taxpayers more than it saved because of all the all the lawsuits that it provoked, that the government has to pay to defend, all the people who have to, all the lost knowledge that had to be replaced. People left, and then I'm sure a lot of federal workers got new jobs elsewhere and aren't coming back. So that knowledge base is lost. I mean, in the long run, I mean, what's the lesson here? Is the lesson here that you can't cut government, or is the lesson here you can't cut government that way?
Yeah, the lesson is you can't cut government that way. Jimmy Carter cut government. It was the last time we had what's called a RIF, a reduction in force. But he did it by going to Congress and saying, I want to lay off X number of thousands of federal workers. And they approved it. Democrats, having controlled both the House and the Senate, they approved it. And he laid people off across the board.
That's so weird when you think about a Democrat doing that.
Yeah.
Jimmy Carter's legacy, right? Like he's we think of him as like a liberal, but he wasn't at all, right?
That's why his relationship with Tip O'Neill was so bad, because he wasn't a liberal.
It's depressing, right? Like draft registration, that's Jimmy Carter. The funding the Mujahideen, that's Jimmy Carter. The Olympic boycott in 1980 in Moscow, that's Jimmy Carter. It's all right-wing crap.
Sanctions, the development of the stealth bomber, it's all Jimmy Carter.
Oh, the 1980s defense buildup really started in 1978 under Jimmy Carter. But, people are like, oh, he's smiley and he's affable, sort of. Although apparently he really wasn't that affable in real life.
No, he had a very sharp temper and he was very happy to display it.
It's so now, do we just forget the whole thing seems so strange. Think about how basically DOGE staffers were terrorizing these federal departments and agencies. What happened? Does USAID come back now? What happens?
I'm wondering if Donald Trump just simply won't allow USAID to come back. Although USAID actually still exists. Again, it would take an act of Congress to disband USAID. The only reason why I would worry a little bit about USAID is that it used to be an agency of the State Department. And then during, I think it was the Obama administration, it was spun off and it became independent. So now it doesn't have that State Department bureaucracy to protect it. So if they do want to actually do away with USAID, and I think a lot of people on Capitol Hill do, that's an easy vote for a lot of people. And Donald Trump, of course, would sign it as soon as it reached his desk.
Well, yeah, the thing is, though, I have a dim view of USAID, but what do you think? My view is not as internal as yours. I just remember, for example, driving in a convoy, behind a bunch of trucks for USAID in Tajikistan headed toward the Afghan border. And the trucks were full of food, right? And this was 2001. Tajikistan was in the middle of a famine. So here these trucks are laden with food, driving by starving Tajik villagers. You get to we wait and wait and wait and wait. We cross the border into Afghanistan. It's a whole ordeal because you have to go through on a barge across the Pianj River. And then immediately upon arrival, local Afghan warlords, commanders, and their goons are unloading the trucks and stealing every single grain of food. And then a couple of days later, I'm at the bazaar, and there's all these bags that say gift of the United people of the United States of America with an American flag, all for sale at the bazaar. And it's just like, I was like, USAID, they suck, because they could make sure this doesn't happen, but they don't. They just sort of throw it there, and it's like, hey, we sent it, whatever.
And they're busy overthrowing governments anyway with their secret budget from the CIA.
Yeah, true. U.S. Navy vet -WC5QE question for both. China is the biggest exporter to the puny genocidal regime, grossing $19 billion 2024 shipping elements from A to Z. Adding, does China get U.S. military secrets in return, like the USSR did? I mean, we're talking about Israel here, obviously.
It's possible. It's possible.
I didn't know that. I did not know that China was the biggest exporter to Israel.
That, you know what, that was in the papers. I'm going to say within the last week that they're the biggest. Yeah, which also surprised me. I wouldn't have expected that. Did you happen to see that Mexico passed Canada for the first time as the biggest exporter to the United States?
No.
Yeah, first time.
So is that obviously because the Canadians are mad at us?
Mm-hmm.
They're sure not coming to visit.
And there's a very active boycott American goods movement afoot in Canada.
It's everywhere. Like I heard that, like at bars, there's there's lists, like behind the bar, there's a sign that points to what liquors are American and which ones are non-American, and drink these Canadian ones. Don't get bourbon or whatever. They drink a lot in Canada, so it matters.
I interviewed Richard Falk for my other podcast, Deep Focus, a couple of days ago. Richard is the former United Nations Special Rapporteur for Human Rights. He's a professor emeritus of international law at Princeton University and a bona fide American hero. So he was invited to participate on a panel in Ottawa last week on his 95th birthday.
Oh, wow.
And the Canadians wouldn't allow him to enter Canada.
Oh, wow.
They said that he posed a threat to the security of Canada. He's 95 years old.
Wow.
But because he's an activist in support of Palestinian human rights, that was a problem for this liberal left-wing Canadian government.
That's so sick.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I was going to ask you about a movie. Have you seen A House of Dynamite, the Catherine Bigelow movie on Netflix?
No, but I read a review of it yesterday in the New York Times, and they were saying that it is a must-see. What did you think? I didn't see it yet.
I say it's one of the biggest fucking disappointments I've ever seen in my life. It's a Rashomon story. So basically, it's a countdown that seems to take place in more or less real time of this what is an ICBM strike against Chicago from possibly North Korea. And you basically cut back and forth into different agencies. And it feels a lot like that movie Failsafe from 1960 or something like that, where it's just like, it's going to happen. So here's the spoiler alert. The spoiler alert is that there's nothing to spoil. We never find out what happened. Like literally the screen goes black, like at the moment of possible impact. We don't know where it originated from. We don't know if it has any ordnance on it. We don't know if it's nuclear. We don't know that it would successfully detonate if it is nuclear. You know nothing. You just see all this stuff happening and the fear. And what's really disappointing is it counts down to zero, and then it starts again in different parts of the government, starting again where you were before, counting back down to zero. And you're like, it does do what she does well, which is military porn.
Yes, she should be ashamed of herself.
Zero Dark 40 is Dark 30 is not a high point of in moral filmmaking.
No,
but still, I mean, and the Hurt Locker always bothered me because it doesn't show the Iraqi point of view. It's like, we're invading them. We have no reason to be there.
Yep.
You know, and that's never, you know, she doesn't need to make a political movie, but it's kind of like making an anti-political movie as opposed to an apolitical movie. But anyway, no, the movie sucks, honestly. I mean, I have to say, you know, I kind of need to see it like fail safe. You do know what happens, and it does happen. You don't see the cloud. It just like, and the end is amazing, right? Like where there's like all these quick cuts of like New York City, which is the city about to be nuked, and you see, you know, like street scenes, people buying hot dogs, people like kids playing in a playground, blah, 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 and then it's just the screen just goes white. That's fantastic. It's just, yeah, I was just really curious what you thought. I was just like, God, what a turd.
I'm very excited. I bragged about this last week. I'm going to brag about it again. So now that I have membership in SAG-AFTRA, the Screen Actors Guild, I get to vote on the SAG Awards, which are now called the Actor Awards. They're going to change the name effective, I think it's February.
I mean, SAG Award isn't great, but neither is Actor Award as a title.
No, I agree. But I get DVDs of everything that's nominated, so I can vote. And
that's cool.
I was reading this article in the Times on the plane on the way to LA yesterday, and they were saying that this one is a shoo-in for nominations in all of the award categories.
Really? Huh. Well, I mean, it's like The Fix is always in for her, isn't it?
Always. And she's an Oscar winner for that terrible movie, Zero Dark 30, that was made essentially, you know, with the CIA's help.
Yeah. Yeah. And it totally, I mean, yeah, for people who haven't seen it, what John and I are basically referring to is it says falsely that torture effectively led to the capture of Osama bin Laden. And it shows it.
Is a bald-faced lie.
Yeah. I mean, it's gross and, you know, and it's false. And, you know, if torture worked, I would be the first to say, okay, well, torture is wrong, but it worked, or it worked, but it's wrong. Anyway, thanks everyone for watching. We'll be back tomorrow. We haven't decided whether we're going to do Wednesday or not, but John, you and I should talk about that. I would do Wednesday. How about you?
I prefer kind of to have a day off, but
right.
if you want to do Wednesday, I'll get up.
I'm not going to be seen on TV dragging you, kicking and screaming into doing a show. All right, we'll take Wednesday off.
I think we've earned a little 1 day vacation, 2 day, Wednesday, Friday vacation.
3 day. Yeah.
3 day.
Okay. All right. Well, let's say this: if something huge happens, then we'll come in and we'll do a show. Okay. Otherwise, I think Robbie's going to put together a best of some sort. I hope I'm not speaking out of turn. Thanks everyone for tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow for Tuesday, 9 a.m. Eastern time. As usual, we're here Monday through Friday Eastern, 9 a.m. Eastern. Please like, follow, and share the show. Please stay tuned for TMI with Ted Rall and Manila Chan. That's me. See ya all later.
Bye-bye.
Bye, John.
Bye, Ted.